My name is Ayesha. As I tell you my story today, tears fill my eyes, and there is only one sentence that keeps repeating in my heart. If only I had listened to my parents. When we are young, we believe we know everything. We think no one understands us better than ourselves. I believed the same. I belonged to a simple middle-class family in Lahore, Pakistan. My father was a school teacher, and my mother was a housewife. We were not rich, but our home was filled with love, respect, and peace. My father always told me, "Ayesha, a person's greatest wealth is not money. It is good character." Back then, I thought he was old-fashioned. I was studying English literature at a well-known university. My dream was simple. Graduate, get a good job, make my parents proud. But fate had written something completely different. There was a boy in my class named Hamza. He was handsome, confident, intelligent, and popular. Almost every girl in the university admired him. I never paid much attention to him. One afternoon, while I was working on an assignment in the university library, my laptop battery died. I looked around nervously. My assignment was due that day. Just then, I heard a calm voice behind me. "Excuse me, you can use my charger if you'd like." I turned around. It was Hamza. I smiled politely. "Thank you." He handed me the charger with a friendly smile and returned to his seat. That simple moment changed everything. A few days later, we met again in the library, then in the cafeteria, then during group assignments. Slowly, we started talking every day. Our conversations became longer. He made me laugh. He respected my opinions. Whenever I missed a class, he would immediately text me, "Are you okay? Did something happen?" No one outside my family had ever cared about me like that. One afternoon, my best friend Sana looked at me and smiled. "I think Hamza likes you." I laughed. "Don't be ridiculous." But deep inside, I already knew. 2 months later, Hamza asked me to meet him in the university garden. He looked nervous. His hands were shaking. "Ayesha, I want to tell you something." "What is it?" He took a deep breath. "I love you." For a moment, everything around me became silent. The birds, the students, the wind, it all disappeared. Only his voice remained. He smiled gently. "You don't have to answer today. Just know one thing. I promise I'll always keep you happy." That night, I couldn't sleep. His words echoed in my mind again and again. The next day, I looked into his eyes and quietly said, "Yes." That single word changed my life. From that day onward, we were in a relationship. Everything felt magical. Morning messages, coffee dates, walking together across the campus, birthday surprises, studying in the library, taking pictures, laughing for no reason. I honestly believed I had found the perfect man. I imagined spending my entire life with him. I had no idea that sometimes the happiest beginnings hide the darkest endings. 3 months passed. One evening, while I was taking a shower, my phone buzzed. My mother picked it up to see who was calling. Instead of a call, she saw a message. "I love you, my future wife." The sender's name was Hamza. When I came out of my room, my mother's face had completely changed. She held my phone in her hand. "Ayesha, who is Hamza?" I froze. I couldn't speak. That evening, when my father came home, my mother told him everything. He didn't shout. He didn't hit me. He simply looked into my eyes. "Is it true?" I slowly nodded. "Yes." He remained silent for several seconds. Then he said something I never expected. "If this young man truly loves you, tell him to come to our house. We'll meet him. We'll talk respectfully." I should have been happy, but I wasn't, because Hamza had already warned me. My parents aren't ready for marriage. If your parents get involved, they'll force us apart. So, I lied to my father. It's not the right time. From that day onward, everything changed. The atmosphere at home became heavy. My mother kept trying to explain, "My daughter, there is nothing wrong with love. But hiding a relationship from your parents never ends well." I refused to listen. "You don't know Hamza. You'll understand him one day." My father became quieter every day. One night, he called me into his room. He looked tired. His eyes were full of concern. "Ayesha, you are my only daughter." "I don't know that boy. I don't know his family. I'm not against your happiness. I'm only afraid of losing you." Then he held my hand. "Promise me, you won't make any decision without telling us." I lowered my head. "Okay, Dad." But in my heart, I had already chosen Hamza. Our relationship continued. We secretly met almost every day. One afternoon, Hamza looked unusually serious. "My parents will never agree." I looked at him in shock. "What do you mean?" "We should get married." I stared at him. "So soon?" He nodded. "I can't lose you. We'll have a court marriage. Later, everyone will accept us." I hesitated. "My parents, they'll be heartbroken." He gently held my hand. "They'll forgive us. Every parent gets angry at first. But once they see we're happy, they'll accept us." His words sounded convincing. I wanted to believe him, so I did. The following week, Hamza sent me a message. "Tomorrow, 10 a.m., outside the family court. Bring your ID card. After tomorrow, we'll never have to hide again." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept looking at my parents' bedroom door. My mother had spent her entire life protecting me. My father had worked day and night to pay my university fees. Yet, the next morning, I quietly packed a small bag. After Fajr prayer, I slowly opened the front door. My mother was asleep. My father was reading the Quran in the living room. He didn't notice me leaving. I stood outside the house. I looked back one last time. That house had given me 22 years of love. I whispered to myself, "I'll come back soon. Everything will be okay." I closed the gate and walked away. I had no idea that I wasn't just leaving my home. I was leaving behind the happiest chapter of my life. The morning I walked out of my parents' house, I thought I was walking toward happiness. I believed love could solve every problem. I believed my parents would forgive me within a few days. I believed Hamza would always protect me. I was wrong, very wrong. When I reached the family court, Hamza was already waiting for me. He smiled the moment he saw me. "You came." I forced a smile. "I told you I would." Within a few hours, our marriage was complete. No wedding dress, no family, no parents, no laughter, no blessings. Just a few signatures, a marriage certificate, and dreams that I believed would last forever. Hamza looked at me proudly. "Congratulations, Mrs. Hamza." For the first time, I smiled from my heart. I thought I had finally become the happiest woman in the world. I had no idea. My biggest nightmare had just begun. That evening, I gathered the courage to call my father. My hands were shaking. He answered after the second ring. "Hello?" Tears filled my eyes. "Abu." There was complete silence. Then he quietly asked, "Where are you?" I got married." Another long silence followed. I could hear my mother crying in the background. Then my father's voice became cold. "You made your decision. You chose him over us." My heart broke. "Abu, please listen." He interrupted me. "From today onward, you are no longer our responsibility. You have no relationship with this house anymore. And never come back." The call ended. I stood there staring at my phone. It felt as if someone had taken my heart out of my chest. I fell to the ground and cried. Hamza wrapped his arm around my shoulders. "Don't worry. They'll come around. I promise." I believed him. Again. Since neither of us owned a house, we rented a tiny one-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of the city. The building was old. The walls were cracked. The kitchen was so small that only one person could stand inside. But I didn't care. It was our first home. Together. That first evening, we bought 2 plastic chairs, a small mattress, and a few kitchen utensils. We sat on the floor, eating inexpensive takeaway food. Hamza smiled. "We may not have much now, but one day we'll have everything." I smiled back. "I don't need a mansion. As long as I have you." He held my hand. "I'll never let you cry." Those words became the biggest lie of my life. The first month passed peacefully. We laughed together, cooked together, watched movies on an old laptop, dreamed about buying our own house someday. Sometimes I missed my parents terribly. Late at night, I secretly looked at their old photographs. I wanted to call them, but I was too ashamed. I kept telling myself, once they see how happy I am, they'll forgive me. Then, little things started changing. Hamza became short-tempered. He came home late from work. Whenever I asked where he had been, he became irritated. "Why do you ask so many questions?" "I was working." One evening, I simply asked, "Did you have dinner?" He slammed his bag onto the sofa. "Can I come home without being interrogated?" I was shocked. I was only worried. He sighed. "I'm tired." Stop overthinking. I convinced myself he was just stressed. Days turned into weeks. His behavior became colder. He stopped complimenting me, stopped asking about my day, stopped smiling the way he used to. Sometimes he would spend hours staring at his phone without saying a single word to me. Whenever I tried to start a conversation, he gave one-word answers. The apartment that once felt full of love now felt painfully silent. Every night I wondered, what changed? Was it me or was it him? I didn't know, but deep inside, I felt something slipping away, something that might never come back. For a while, I kept telling myself that every marriage has difficult days. Maybe Hamza was under pressure. Maybe work was stressful. Maybe everything would return to the way it used to be. But every new day proved me wrong. One Friday evening, I cooked Hamza's favorite chicken biryani. I spent almost 2 hours preparing dinner. I wanted to surprise him. When he finally came home, it was almost 10:30 p.m. His face looked tired, but something else was different. He didn't even look at me. "You're late," I said softly. Without answering, he walked straight into the bedroom. I followed him. "Dinner is ready." "I'm not hungry." "You haven't eaten all day." He suddenly turned around. "I said I'm not hungry." His loud voice echoed through the apartment. I froze. It was the first time he had ever shouted at me. He slammed the bedroom door. I stood there silently. A few tears rolled down my cheeks. That night, the biryani stayed untouched on the table until morning. The next day, Hamza acted as if nothing had happened. "I'm sorry." I was stressed. I didn't mean to yell. I smiled through my tears. It's okay. I wanted to believe him because I still loved him. Weeks passed. His apologies became shorter. His anger became bigger. He started criticizing everything I did. The tea is too cold. The food has too much salt. The house isn't clean enough. You spend too much money. Nothing I did was ever good enough anymore. One afternoon I asked him, "Can we visit my parents?" His expression immediately changed. "Why?" "I miss them. They don't want to see you, but they're still my parents." He looked at me coldly. I said no. I lowered my head. That night, I cried quietly after he fell asleep. I missed my mother. I missed my father's voice. I missed home. A month later, things became even worse. Hamza stopped giving me enough money for groceries. Whenever I asked for household expenses, he became irritated. "Do you think money grows on trees?" I only asked because we have no food left. "Then spend less." I quietly nodded. Sometimes I skipped my own meals so he could eat properly. He never noticed, or maybe he simply didn't care anymore. One evening, Hamza came home looking extremely angry. His company had reduced employee bonuses. He threw his bag across the room. I carefully walked toward him. "What happened?" He looked at me with burning eyes. "You are the problem." I was shocked. "What?" "If I didn't have to pay rent and your expenses, my life would be much easier." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "I left my family for you." His face became even darker. "I never asked you to leave them." Those words felt like a knife piercing my heart. Everything I had sacrificed, everything I had lost, suddenly meant nothing. That night, for the first time, Hamza pushed me. Not very hard, but hard enough for me to lose my balance and fall onto the floor. The room became completely silent. Both of us stared at each other. He looked shocked by what he had done. So was I. After a few seconds, he helped me stand up. "I'm sorry." I lost control. "It will never happen again." I wanted to believe him because the truth was too painful to accept. But it did happen again. A week later, and then again. Each time, the apology became weaker. The violence became stronger. Sometimes he grabbed my arm so tightly that bruises appeared. Sometimes he threw things across the room. Sometimes he shouted for hours over the smallest mistakes. The man who once promised, "I'll never let you cry," had become the reason I cried every single night. One rainy evening, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror. I looked at the bruise on my arm, then at the tears in my eyes. I barely recognized the woman staring back at me. Where was the cheerful university girl? Where was the girl who dreamed of a happy marriage? She was gone. Only a frightened woman remained. I picked up my phone. I searched for my mother's number. My finger hovered over the call button. I wanted to hear her voice. I wanted to say, "Mom, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I need you." But before I could press the button, I remembered my father's last words, "Never come back." I slowly put the phone down and cried alone until sunrise. The night Hamza pushed me to the floor for the third time, I didn't cry in front of him anymore. I had run out of tears. I simply sat in the corner of our small apartment, hugging my knees, wondering how the man who once called me the love of his life had become a stranger. Outside, heavy rain poured against the windows. Inside, the silence was even heavier. For the first time, I was afraid of my own husband. The next morning, I woke up early and prepared breakfast. I wanted to avoid another argument. When Hamza came to the table, he took one bite and threw the plate onto the floor. The plate shattered into dozens of pieces. "What is this?" "The eggs are cold," I quietly said. "I'll make fresh ones." He stood up angrily. "You're useless." I lowered my head. I said, "I'm sorry." But my apology only made him angrier. He grabbed my arm so tightly that I cried out in pain. "Stop pretending to be innocent." After a few seconds, he let go and walked out of the apartment, slamming the door behind him. I looked down. My arm was already turning blue. I locked the door and slowly cleaned the broken pieces of the plate. As I swept the floor, I realized something. The broken plate looked exactly like my life. No matter how carefully I picked up the pieces, it would never become whole again. Days passed. Hamza became colder with every passing day. Sometimes he didn't come home until midnight. Sometimes he wouldn't come home at all. When I asked where he had been, he only replied, "It's none of your business." One evening, I gathered all my courage. "Hamza, we can't keep living like this." He looked at me without emotion. "What do you mean?" "We used to laugh together. We used to dream together. What happened to us?" He laughed, but it wasn't the warm laugh I once loved. It was cold, mocking. "People change." I stared at him. "Or maybe, you were never the person I thought you were." For a second, the room became completely silent. Then he walked toward me. His face was filled with anger. Without saying another word, he slapped me across the face. The impact knocked me against the wall. I held my cheek in shock. I couldn't believe this was happening. The man I had sacrificed everything for had just hit me. That night, I sat alone on the bedroom floor. I looked at our wedding certificate lying inside a drawer. Just months earlier, I believed that paper guaranteed happiness. Now, it felt like nothing more than a painful memory. The following morning, Hamza packed a small travel bag. "Where are you going?" "I have work." "For how long?" "A few days." "When will you come back?" He didn't answer. He simply walked away. 3 days passed, no phone call, no message, nothing. I called him again and again. He rejected every call. My savings were almost gone. The rent was due in 4 days. The refrigerator was nearly empty. For the first time, I truly understood what loneliness felt like. On the 4th evening, the apartment door suddenly opened. Hamza walked inside. I felt relieved. I ran toward him. "Thank God you're back. We need to talk." He looked at me with an expression I had never seen before. Cold, empty. He placed a folded envelope on the table. "What's this?" "Read it." My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were legal papers. I looked at him in confusion. "What is this?" he answered without emotion. "I filed for divorce." The room started spinning. "No, you can't be serious. I left my parents for you. I gave up everything." He looked away. "I don't love you anymore." Every word felt like a knife cutting through my heart. I grabbed his hand. "Please, we can fix this. I'll do anything." He slowly pulled his hand away. "It's over." I fell to my knees. I cried harder than I'd ever cried before. "Please don't leave me. I have nowhere to go." He remained silent. Then he picked up his suitcase, walked toward the door. Without looking back, he left. The door closed behind him, and with that sound, my marriage ended. I stayed on the floor for hours. The apartment was completely silent. The only sound was my own crying. I kept asking myself the same question again and again. Was this the happiness I chose over my parents? For the first time since leaving home, I whispered the words I had been too proud to admit. "Mom, Dad, I'm sorry." The morning after Hamza left, I woke up on the cold floor of the apartment. For a few seconds, I forgot everything. Then I looked around. The empty room, the divorce papers, the silence, it all came rushing back. Hamza was gone, and this time, he wasn't coming back. I hadn't eaten anything since the previous day. The kitchen shelves were almost empty. There was half a loaf of bread and a bottle of water. That was all. I sat by the window, staring outside. People were laughing. Children were going to school. Life was moving on. Only my world had stopped. 3 days later, someone knocked loudly on the apartment door. Knock, knock, knock. I slowly opened it. The landlord was standing outside. He looked serious. "Mrs. Ayesha, the rent is due today." I lowered my eyes. "I'm sorry. I don't have the money right now." He crossed his arms. "When will you pay?" I just need a little more time. He sighed. I've already given you enough time. My family depends on this rent. I can't wait forever. I folded my hands. Please, just one more week. After a few moments, he nodded. 7 days. Not 1 day more. Then he walked away. As soon as he disappeared down the stairs, I closed the door and burst into tears. For the first time in my life, I had absolutely no one to help me. I picked up my phone. There were no missed calls, no messages, no one asking if I was okay. I opened my contacts. My finger stopped on one name. Dad, I wanted to call him. I wanted to say, Dad, I made a terrible mistake, but every time I remembered his last words, never come back, my courage disappeared. I put the phone away once again. The next morning, I wore my old university clothes, tied my hair, picked up a folder containing my degree and certificates, and walked out to search for a job. The sun was burning. I walked from one office to another. One restaurant, one clothing store, one supermarket. Everywhere I heard the same answer. We're not hiring, or we'll call you. But no one ever called. By evening, my feet were swollen. My stomach was empty. I had earned nothing. The next 6 days passed exactly the same way. Every morning, hope. Every evening, disappointment. My savings were completely gone. I sold my wristwatch, then my earrings, then the small gold ring my mother had given me on my 18th birthday. As I handed it to the jeweler, my hands shook. That ring wasn't expensive, but it carried my mother's love. Walking away from that shop felt like losing another piece of my family. The 7th day arrived. At exactly 9 a.m, there was another knock on the door. This time, I already knew who it was. The landlord stood outside with a serious expression. Did you arrange the rent? I couldn't even look into his eyes. No, I'm still trying. He remained silent for a few seconds, then quietly said, I'm sorry, but you need to leave today. My heart stopped. Please. I have nowhere to go. I'll pay you as soon as I find work. He shook his head sadly. I believe you're telling the truth, but I can't let you stay without paying. My own loan payments are due. I fell to my knees. Please don't throw me out. He looked away. I've already waited. There is nothing more I can do. An hour later, I packed everything I owned into 2 small bags, a few clothes, some books, my university degree, a family photo, and my parents' old picture that I'd secretly kept hidden. That was all I had left of my old life. I took one final look around the apartment. This tiny rented house had witnessed every smile, every dream, every tear. Now, it was no longer my home. As I stepped outside carrying my bags, the landlord quietly locked the apartment behind me. The sound of the lock echoed through my heart. I walked slowly toward the main road. People passed by without even noticing me. To them, I was just another stranger carrying luggage. They had no idea that I had just lost everything. I sat on a bench near a bus stop. The sky slowly turned orange as the sun began to set. I hugged my bags tightly. For the first time in my life, I had no home, no husband, no family beside me, no money, no destination, only regret. I whispered through my tears. If only I had listened to my parents. The cold evening wind blew across my face. I closed my eyes, not knowing where I would sleep that night. The first night after I was forced to leave the apartment, I had nowhere to go. The streets were crowded. Cars passed by one after another. People laughed, talked, and hurried home to their families. I watched them from a bus stop bench. Every person seemed to have someone waiting for them, except me. I hugged my 2 small bags tightly and whispered, "Ya Allah, please don't leave me alone." As darkness covered the city, fear slowly took over my heart. I had never spent a single night outside. Every passing stranger made me nervous. Every sound frightened me. I knew I couldn't stay there forever. So I stood up and started walking. I didn't know where I was going. I just kept walking. After nearly an hour, I found a small mosque. The lights were still on. I sat quietly outside the women's entrance. An elderly woman noticed me. She slowly walked over. "My daughter, are you all right?" I quickly wiped my tears. "Yes," but she could clearly see I was lying. She sat beside me. "Tell me the truth." For the first time in weeks, someone had asked how I was, and I couldn't stop crying. I told her everything. The love marriage, leaving my parents, the divorce, losing my home. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she gently placed her hand on my shoulder. "My child, everyone makes mistakes, but never lose hope in Allah." Those simple words gave me strength. She gave me some food and told me about a women's shelter nearby where I could stay safely for a few days. That night, for the first time after many days, I slept under a safe roof. The next morning, I woke up determined to change my life. I couldn't keep crying forever. I still had my university degree. I still had my health. Maybe I could start again. I spent the entire day searching for work. Schools, bookstores, offices, restaurants. Everywhere I went, I heard the same answer. "We're sorry. We don't have any vacancies." As I was leaving one small cafe, the owner called me back. "Excuse me." I turned around. "You look educated?" "I am." "What did you study?" "English literature." He nodded. "I don't have an office job. But if you're willing to work honestly, I need someone to help with cleaning and serving customers." The salary was very small, but it was honest work. I smiled with tears in my eyes. "I'll do it." The next day became my first day at work. I cleaned tables, washed dishes, swept the floor, served tea and coffee. My hands, which once held university books, now carried heavy trays. Some customers ignored me, some spoke kindly, some looked down on me, but I kept working because I had learned something important. No honest work is ever shameful. Every evening after work, I sat alone in the shelter. I counted the little money I had earned. It wasn't enough to rent a room yet, but it was enough to buy food, enough to survive. Slowly, hope returned. One evening, while cleaning a table, I saw a young girl laughing with her parents. Her father gently placed food on her plate. Her mother smiled lovingly. I couldn't stop staring. Suddenly, I remembered my own family. I remembered my father's smile, my mother's warm hugs, the home I had left behind. Tears filled my eyes again. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept asking myself, do my parents ever think about me? Are they still angry? Would they forgive me if I returned? The next morning, before leaving for work, I took out an old family photograph from my bag. I kissed it gently. Then I whispered, "Mom, Dad, I don't know if you'll ever forgive me, but every single day, I miss you." Holding the photo close to my heart, I made a promise to myself. No matter how difficult life became, I would rebuild it with honesty. And one day, if Allah gave me the chance, I would stand before my parents again, not to ask for money, not to ask for home, but simply to say, "I'm sorry." 6 months had passed since my divorce. Life was still difficult, but I was no longer the same broken girl who had once cried herself to sleep every night. Every morning before sunrise, I woke up, offered my prayers, and quietly whispered, "Dear God, give me the strength to keep moving forward." Then I would leave for work, The small cafe became my second home. I cleaned tables, served tea, washed dishes, smiled at customers. Every penny I earned came from honest work. One afternoon, the cafe owner called me. Ayesha. Yes, sir? I've been watching you. You work harder than anyone else here. You've earned my respect. I smiled. Thank you. I'm increasing your salary next month. For a moment, I couldn't believe it. Tears filled my eyes, not because of the money, but because someone finally appreciated my efforts. A month later, I rented a tiny room. It had only one bed, one chair, and one small window. But it was mine. I had earned it through hard work. That night, I looked around the empty room and smiled. It wasn't a palace, but it was built with dignity, even though life was slowly getting better. One pain never left me. I missed my mother and father every single day. Every birthday, every Eid, every family celebration, I spent alone. Sometimes after work, I would watch parents walking with their children. A father holding his daughter's hand, a mother fixing her son's clothes. Every scene reminded me of the family I had lost. One rainy evening, the cafe was crowded with customers. I was carrying 2 cups of coffee when the front door opened. An elderly couple slowly walked inside. The man had gray hair. The woman wore a light blue shawl. They looked tired after walking in the rain. I looked up for only a second. Then my hands started shaking. The tray almost slipped from my hands. It couldn't be. No, it was impossible. But it was them, my father and my mother. For nearly 2 years, I had dreamed of seeing them again. Now they were standing only a few steps away. The cafe owner welcomed them warmly. Please, have a seat. They sat near the window. I stood frozen. My heart was beating so fast I could barely breathe. Should I go? What if they still hated me? What if they asked me to leave? Hundreds of thoughts rushed through my mind. Finally, I picked up the menu and slowly walked toward their table. My father looked up first. For a moment, he didn't recognize me. Then his eyes grew wide. His lips trembled. Ayesha? My mother immediately looked at me. The menu slipped from my hands onto the floor. Tears filled all 3 of our eyes. I couldn't hold them back anymore. In a trembling voice, I whispered, Mom, Dad. My mother stood up so quickly that her chair fell backward. She ran toward me without saying a single word. She wrapped her arms tightly around me. She cried louder than I had ever heard anyone cry. My daughter, my precious daughter, I missed you every single day. I completely broke down. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. She gently held my face in both of her hands. No, you're alive. That's all that matters. My father slowly walked toward us. His eyes were full of tears. He placed his hand on my head, just like he used to when I was a child. My daughter, I searched for you everywhere. I looked at him in surprise. You searched for me? He nodded. I went to your old apartment. The landlord told me you had already left. I visited hospitals. I even asked old neighbors if they had seen you. I never stopped looking. At that moment, my heart shattered into pieces. For 2 years, I had believed my parents hated me, but the truth was, they had been searching for me all along. I hugged both of them tightly. I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't listen to you. I thought I knew everything. I lost my home, my marriage, my happiness. My father gently wiped away my tears. Life teaches lessons in painful ways, but you are still our daughter, and you always will be. My mother held my hand tightly. Come home with us. Our house has never stopped being your home. I looked at both of them. For the first time in years, I felt safe again. The emptiness inside my heart slowly began to disappear. After everything that had happened, after all the pain, I finally realized one truth. A parent's heart can be broken, but a parent's love never truly ends. The drive home felt unreal. I sat in the back seat of my father's old car. My mother held my hand the entire journey, afraid that if she let go, I might disappear again. No one spoke for several minutes. There was no need for words. Our tears had already said everything. As we turned into our neighborhood, every street reminded me of my childhood. The small grocery store where my father used to buy me chocolates, the park where my mother taught me to ride a bicycle, the mosque where we prayed together every Friday evening. Every corner carried a memory. Every memory reminded me how much I had lost. When the car finally stopped in front of our house, I couldn't move. The same white gate, the same garden, the same front door. It felt as if time had stood still. My mother gently squeezed my hand. "Come home, my daughter." I slowly stepped out of the car. As I walked toward the front door, tears streamed down my face. I remembered the morning I had secretly walked out of this house, believing I was chasing happiness. Today, I was returning with nothing except regret. My father opened the front door. The moment I stepped inside, I burst into tears. Everything was exactly the same. The family photographs were still on the wall. The old clock still ticked in the living room. Even the smell of the house hadn't changed. It still smelled like home. My mother smiled through her tears. "I never touched your room." She slowly opened the bedroom door. I covered my mouth in shock. My room looked exactly as I had left it. My books were still on the shelf. My favorite teddy bear was sitting on the bed. The curtains were the same. Even my graduation picture still hung on the wall. It was as though my parents had been waiting for me every single day. I walked inside and sat on the bed. My mother gently brushed my hair back. Every week, I cleaned this room. I always prayed that one day, you would walk through this door again. I hugged her tightly. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I broke your heart." She kissed my forehead. A mother's heart breaks, but it never stops loving her child. That evening, the three of us had dinner together, just like old times. For the first time in years, I wasn't eating alone. My father looked at me kindly. "Daughter, you've suffered enough, but don't let your past decide your future." I nodded quietly. "I won't." A few weeks later, I found a better job at a school as an English teacher. The principal had read my qualifications and was impressed. On my first day, I stood in front of a classroom full of students. Looking at their hopeful faces, I remembered my own university days. I silently prayed, may none of these young people make the same mistake I made. Months passed. Slowly, life became peaceful again. Not perfect, but peaceful. The pain never completely disappeared. Neither did the memories. But they no longer controlled my life. Instead, they became lessons that made me stronger. One Sunday afternoon, my father and I were sitting in the garden drinking tea. He looked at me and smiled. "Daughter, do you regret what happened?" I looked at the sky for a long moment. Then I quietly answered, "Every single day. But if I could change one thing, I wouldn't change the pain. I would change the decision that caused it." My father nodded. Sometimes, the greatest teacher in life is our own mistake. That evening, my mother joined us with a tray of tea and biscuits. She smiled warmly. Our family isn't perfect, but we're together again. For the first time in years, I smiled without forcing it. Today, whenever someone asks me why I tell my story, I give them the same answer. I don't tell it because I want people to feel sorry for me. I tell it because I don't want another daughter to lose her family while chasing a dream that hasn't been tested. Love is beautiful. Marriage is beautiful. But love without trust, without respect, without the blessings of those who truly care for you, can sometimes lead to heartbreak. If you're watching this story and you're thinking about making a life-changing decision, take a moment, talk to your parents, listen to their advice, ask difficult questions. Don't let emotions make decisions that wisdom should make, because one wrong decision can change an entire life. As I tucked my mother into bed one night after she became ill, she smiled at me and whispered, "You came home." I held her hand and replied, "I'll never leave again." She closed her eyes peacefully. My father looked at me with tears of gratitude. For the first time in many years, our house was filled with laughter again, and I finally understood something I had learned too late. A true home is not built with walls. It is built with the love of a mother, the prayers of a father, and the family that never kabatsam.